Well, the New York Jets have made yet another addition to their coaching staff, and it's on the offensive side of the ball. Scott Turner has been named the New York Jets passing game coordinator. A lot to get into. We'll break it down all coming up here. The second show of the day, and it's a breaking news edition of NY Flight Jets Talk.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer and Jets legend Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk. Sunday, February 2nd, 2025. We're on a few hours ago talking some Hendon Hooker potential trade rumors to the New York Jets. We hop off for a little. I said I'd come back on if there was any breaking news, and we're doing just that. Scott Turner, ladies and gentlemen, has been named the Jets passing game coordinator now under Aaron Glenn. He joins an offensive staff that consists of, let me pull up the tweet first, an offensive staff, though, that consists overall of Steve Hyden, Charles London, Tanner Engstrand. Those are the main faces. Now Scott Turner goes and joins this group. Turner's certainly an interesting name here. He was actually a name who was circled around as potential OC candidate alongside Nick Caley, alongside Tanner Engstrand. Ultimately, though, they bring him in the role as pass game coordinator. He's a ton of coaching experience, ranging all the way back to 2005. He's still on the younger side. I mean, he's only 42 years old. He was the offensive coordinator with the Commanders from 2020 to 2022. He was the pass game coordinator with the Raiders from 2023 to 24, and he was their interim offensive coordinator, this past season. So a ton of experience, play calling experience, most importantly, in a guy like Turner. You bring him on as a pass game coordinator alongside Tanner Engstrand, alongside Charles London. I'm honestly a fan of this news. The more experience, the better. I was not a huge fan of the Charles London hire made earlier today. He will be the Jets' next quarterback coach, but the Jets follow up, which I think was a rough hire, with a very promising hire here in Scott Turner, who will be the Jets' next passing game coordinator. I want to get your guys' thoughts in the chat. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Really appreciate all your support here on the show. You guys are the best. Appreciate you. Appreciate you tuning in as always. So if you have any questions, throw them in the chat. We'll get to those. If you want to call into the show, voice your opinion on this Jets news, throw it in. Put the pinned comment in the chat. Boom. All right, if you want to call into the show, voice your opinion on this new hire for our New York Jets, please click that link at the pinned now at the top of the chat. If you have any questions, throw them in there. We'll be sure to get to those. We'll say what's up to everyone. Like, share, and subscribe. Great way to help the channel grow. Appreciate you as always. Caden, the building. Caden, good to see you. Caden, it's good to see you live on this news. Kind of like, Caden, you were the one who asked, will we be back if there's any news? And I said yes. So for you, Caden, that is the reason we are on right now. Jimmy Jet's in the building. We're now an offensive powerhouse. I mean, the coaching staff is coming together nicely. I will say that. Rod in the building. Rod, good to see you in the chat. Appreciate you as always. Caden, in my opinion, I think this is a better hire than Charles London. That's where I am right now. Jimmy says he was in position to be the OC. Yeah, I mean, he was the interim offensive coordinator with the Raiders this past offseason. He's had multiple stints as an offensive coordinator in the NFL. I'm a huge fan of this hire. This is someone who's more on the experienced side rather than inexperienced. Let's see. Caden says if you think it's a good hire, Connor. I side with your ball knowledge. It is elite. Caden, I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm all on board with this hire here for the Jets. Italian Eddie Ralph in the building. Thanks for the updates, Connor. Of course, Eddie, appreciate you tuning in. Jimmy, didn't London have a hand in Smith's resurgences in Seattle? No, he was just there one season. Jimmy was there this past season as the Seahawks quarterback coach. Before that, he was with the Titans for a season as their pass game coordinator and quarterbacks coach, and he was with the Falcons. So no, that's the thing. Excuse me. He didn't play a role in what Geno Smith has done, revitalizing his career over the past few seasons, which I was hoping he had a hand in that. I'm sure, as per every other Jets fan. Sorry, guys. Appreciate you sticking with us as always. Calling the show. If you want to, by clicking the pinned comment at the top of the chat, throw your questions in there. We'll be sure to get to those. We'll stay on a few more minutes longer. Just wanted to come on here, give my initial thoughts on this news for the Jets. Rod, maybe Scott Turner could be the RB or tight ends coach. No, Rod, I think he's just going to stick to passing game coordinator. I can't see him picking up another title here. Yes, sir. Appreciate you, Caden. Did the Jets announce they fired Todd Downing and Hackett because they just filled both their positions? Well, I'll show you this. Where am I? Go over to my profile. I was the first one on Twitter to alert everyone about Nathaniel Hackett and Todd Downing officially leaving the building. Here it is. It got over 100,000 views. I went on the team's website. I was scrolling the other day, and I said, boom, they're both removed, so let me go put out a tweet. And yeah, so Todd Downing and Nathaniel Hackett, it was official a few days ago, but now I think it's safe to say it is officially official. The Jets have moved on from Nathaniel Hackett and Todd Downing. So that's good to hear. I guess that's promising news for the Jets, for sure. Caden Garrett-Wilson should have made Pro Bowl, especially with the catches he made. The catches he made, another 1,000-yard year. I don't disagree. I think he should be in the Pro Bowl, for sure. Don't disagree at all. Jimmy, so Tennessee, Atlanta, and now 1 season in Seattle. Doesn't sound like a promising hire. Jimmy, to kind of add insult to injury there, he only has 5 years of experience. I'll pull up his official resume. He also only has 5 years of experience as a quarterback coach. He was a running back in the NFL. Let's keep this in mind. He was a running back in the NFL. And most of his experience comes as a running back coach here. Duke running back coach, Chicago Bears offensive quality control coach, offensive assistant with the Titans, running backs coach with Penn State, running backs coach with the running backs coach with the Texans, running backs coach with the Bears, the Falcons quarterback coach 21 and 22, Titans quarterbacks coach and pass game coordinator 2023, Seahawks quarterbacks coach 2024. So I feel like if the Jets were to they brought him in on the offensive staff, obviously, but I would have preferred just giving him the running backs coach title because let's keep in mind that job is still vacant and he has a ton of experience being a running backs coach in this league. So I would have much preferred just handing him the title there of running backs coach, rather going to the well with him and taking somewhat of a risk bringing him in as a quarterbacks coach. So not overall the biggest fan of this year. Yeah, okay, Ken, appreciate you. Rod, happy birthday. Appreciate you tuning in on your birthday. Happy 56th birthday to you, as always. Appreciate you tuning in. And Caden, in my opinion, I feel like Glenn's best hire will be run game coordinator just because our running back depth is so good. Caden, I think most important is offensive coordinator, which I think, hopefully at least, I have a feeling that Tanner Engstrand's the right guy, but I've been very vocal on how important getting the correct run game coordinator in here is, not only because they have so much depth at the running back position, also just because you look at how Breece Hall was used last season. He was significantly misused, misutilized, whatever you want to say there, underutilized, some could even say. So I think getting the right run game coordinator in here to kind of work with the offensive line while opening up gaps for Breece Hall is going to be very, very important to the team's future success. So that's certainly a hire that I'm looking forward to, because let's keep in mind they brought in an offensive line coach in Steve Hyde, and the same day they fired Keith Carter. However, they are yet to name an official run game coordinator, a running backs coach, a tight ends coach, and let's see, is that it? I feel like they basically got everything except, so they have quarterbacks coach, pass game coordinator, offensive line coach, defensive line coach, linebackers coach, secondaries coach. So it's looking like running backs coach, tight ends coach, run game coordinator is all you need now. It's really all you need. So, the coaching staff is coming close to complete. And then you know what that means. Once the coaching staff is complete, NFL draft, baby. NFL draft talk once the Jets complete their coaching staff here. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. We'll be sure to get to those. Any comments, we'll bring them up on the screen. If you want to call into the show, just click the pinned comment in the chat. We'll get you up here. Caden, that was hard to watch with Breece not being as electric as his rookie season. He's injured most of his rookie season. I think you mean his second season in the league, but essentially his first full season, rather, in the league. He was super fun, over 1,500 all-purpose yards, almost 1,000 rushing yards, just 6 yards short at 994 in the 2023 season. It wasn't even that he wasn't electrifying. They misused him. is the right word that I'm looking for. They misused Breece Hall to the point where they were not maximizing his potential as a running back in this league, which was quite frustrating last season. Let's be honest here. That's where I am. Tyson in the building, so Turner is the vet they choose. I I wouldn't consider him a vet here, Tyson. He has multiple years of play calling experience, but he's still only 42 years old. I still want to see a Todd Haley added to the staff. I still want to see a Doug Peterson potentially in the building. So I hope they add some more seniority on this on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, do Staley's potentially? He's never been a head coach before. He's a name to watch as a running backs coach, assistant head coach type role. He's someone I'd look out for. Tight ends coach. Who knows? Maybe they should give Steve Howden Steve Hyden, that role too, because he has multiple years of experience as a tight ends coach. I would be surprised if they gave him reins of the offensive line and all the tight ends, but you never know here. Former tight end was the tight ends coach with the Lions. Never know. The Jets might do that if it takes too long for them to eventually yield a tight ends coach here in this search. Jimmy, a 5-year running back coach to now coach QB sounds like a friend's hire. No, he's a 5-year quarterbacks coach. Excuse me. He said he's been a running backs coach for he's been a running backs coach for probably over 10 years. I think he only has 5 years of being a quarterbacks coach. So, Jimmy, it's not like they completely took someone who's been a running backs coach forever and made him a quarterbacks coach. He has some experience as a quarterbacks coach, but definitely not as much as a running backs coach. I mean, he definitely does not have as much experience as a quarterbacks coach than he does as a running backs coach. He was also a former running back too. So there's that. So he's currently more qualified working with a running back position, but he has some experience working with quarterbacks as well. Cadence is 3 more away. Caden, 3 more away from what? Can you clarify here, please, in the chat? What are we 3 more away from? Are you talking about how, from like a sub standpoint? Let's see where we are sub-wise. How close we are to 1,520 subscribers. I'm trying to get the exact sub count up here. For some reason, it's not letting me. We'll get it up shortly. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already. We appreciate you as always. So he says, I'm talking someone who called plays as an OC in the NFL. So yeah, you get that in Scott Turner then. He's multiple years of play calling experience in the NFL. Multiple seasons. Which I'm really fan. He called plays this past season, which I think is really, really important. So it's not like we're talking about someone who he has play calling experience, but it was in 2012, 2013. No, we're talking about someone who called plays as recent as last season. And obviously I'm not going to check the Raiders numbers because it's hard to evaluate Scott Turner as a coach based on the Raiders numbers because that roster's awful. Same thing with the Commanders. He was the Commanders. It was Commanders / Washington football team offensive coordinator and play caller for I think 2 seasons in 2018 to 2020. But again, that's so hard to evaluate him as a coach because he's been given rosters that have no talent. So let's see what he's able to orchestrate with somewhat of a talented offense, working alongside Tanner Engstrand. It's going to be interesting here. Caden says, we're through. Thank you for clarifying there, Caden. I appreciate you. Do we still need scouts or something? Caden, it's so hard to assemble a full front office at this point. What I think Darren Muji is going to go ahead and do here, he's going to keep the scouts. I think they're going to be here till at least through the draft, and then he might add in his new people. But the people who were here for Joe Douglas as scouts are staying as scouts the entire draft season. I can nearly guarantee you that's the case. Like I said, he might add a few people, but no one's leaving before the draft from an executive scout perspective. Tyson, I think we should complain about anyone they hire and expect to never win a game ever. Okay, so you're going in with pretty low expectations and trying to just be pleasantly surprised with anything. I see that, and not the worst mentality in the world. I'm going to be honest, not the worst mentality in the world. Just given what we've seen with the Jets in the franchise. Not even, I was going to say the Jets the past few seasons, but not even that. From what we've seen for the past 60 years. So yeah. Not a lot of. I know you're joking, Tyson. I appreciate you. Appreciate you tuning in. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights in the house. Daniel Berry Sports Highlights. Appreciate you tuning in as always. All right. I think that'll do it. Last chance to get your questions, comments, thoughts in. Last chance to call into the show, pin comment in the chat. Just wanted to do a quick 15 to 20 minute immediate reaction to the Jets hiring Scott Turner as their new pass game coordinator. I know with the breaking news, there's no thumbnails. I got to go back after and make the thumbnail, edit the title, and then boom, we'll be good to go. So should be back at some point tomorrow, the normal like 7 p.m., 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're all over the place on the weekends, but since I'm in school during the weekdays, it's normally around 7 to 8 p.m. we go on here. So we'll be back tomorrow, though. Kaden says, who do you have for running backs coach? I would freaking love Deuce Staley. He's the Browns running backs coach right now. Him and Glenn overlapped for 2 seasons in Detroit. He has experience as an assistant head coach. You could technically poach him and give him a promotion from Cleveland by giving him the assistant head coach title because he was only a running backs coach. His title is only running backs coach with Cleveland right now. So I think he's certainly a name to watch, connected to Glenn, and has a ton of experience. So Deuce Staley, who I'm keeping my eye on for the running backs coach job. But that's where I am right now with this search. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. I can't thank you enough for all of your support here on the show. Back tomorrow, 7 or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Can't thank you enough. And wow, but at the buzzer, we'll end with this one from Caden, who was the run game coordinator Breece's rookie season. Caden was Keith Carter. So no, Keith Carter is already gone, so he's not going to be the run game coordinator again this season. So he wasn't a great run game coordinator. I think just Breece is so talented, he was able to exploit gaps. Joey says, you think we should draft Will Johnson if there? It depends on depends on who else is on the board. Ted McMillan's my number 1 player for the Jets to covet, but if like Mason Graham's off the board, Ted McMillan's off the board, then I would consider drafting Will Johnson for sure. I think Will Johnson, cornerback from Michigan, is certainly a very talented player, a lot to like in him. But there we go. That's the last question we're going to end with. That'll do it for me. Wanted to come on here 15, 20 minutes, give my initial reaction to the Jets naming Scott Turner their new passing game coordinator. I am your host, Connor Long, wrapping things up here on this breaking news edition of NY Flight Jets Talk Sunday, February 2nd, 2025. That's all. JTS, Jets, Jets, Jets.